commit to win. Like, I'm going to win. I'm not trying that. I'm not going to give it a try. I'm not giving it a shot. I'm winning. McDonald's is not successful because they have the best hamburger. I may have the best hamburger recipe on the planet, but if I don't know how to get customers, if I don't know how to operate a business, if I don't know how to cook it, it's like, I'm not going to make money.
We know all real estate agents want to acquire clients consistently so that they can grow their business and income for that great lifestyle. This broadcast brings you the best and top people in the industry to support that quest. This is Dave Fanale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk-TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and Align, your premier real estate solution. All right, everybody, welcome back. Here it is. This is Real Estate Talk-TGIF, episode 387. I don't mean to sound like a game show host, but if that's what I sound like, so be it. Today, we got a guy on who I have followed and had the grace and good fortune to have on a previous episode, number 266, way too long ago, about 2 years ago. And it's all about with Kevin Ward. It's about winning in your whole life, right? It's about okay, so you can learn scripts, you can read his book, The Book of Yes, and I hear there's something else coming out with that. And you can do all these things. But if you're getting a couple of deals and you think you're doing great, how about mastering your life along with your business? And that's what we're going to talk about, which has a lot to do with commitment, discipline, and really getting the results you want to do, not in just real estate, but in your whole life. Kevin, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, Dave. I'm excited to be here.
This is really exciting for me. I start every broadcast with the same question, and I'm not going to change it today. Today, the question is really, what does TGIF stand for?
TGIF, as far as I know, stands for Thank God It's Friday.
Well, you're close, and some people, I think, believe that. The last two people got it. It's Thank God It's Fanale. I mean, this is 7 years. We got to talk about something, right? Anyway, Kevin, thanks for joining us. You've done a lot of different things in your life having to do with life itself, right?
Yep.
You've been real life stuff. We're going to get into real life. We talked a little bit about it the other day, but we're talking about mastering your life and doing it. I mean, you've talked about scripts, and you, like you said a few minutes ago before we came on, you called it YesMasters because it's about mastery, right? Yes. But first, as you get into that, tell me about the traveling, the journey that you've taken to get to that and to continue it and to continue to excel in helping agents reach that mastery.
Okay. Yeah. Great question. So I was talking to my wife before we did the podcast today, and I won't give you the backstory on it, but it was just, she said something that was very profound to me. She said, yeah, that's life. You take the test and then you learn the lesson. That's how we tend to go through life, is something happens in life and that life experience is the test. And we're really not prepared for it. Like, how many of us, when we got our real estate license, we thought, yes, I'm ready to go make money in real estate. You get into the game of real estate. You're like, I have no idea what I am doing. I have no idea how to make money here. It's like, we get married and it's like, okay, we're married and we're now taking the test and we haven't learned the lesson. Like, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to do it. Same thing with parenting. Almost anything in life is like, you take the test and then you learn the lesson. And I've discovered that there's a different path. There's a better path. And that is, how about this? What if you learn from those who have been there, done that, learn from masters, learn from mentorship, learn from somebody who's already done what you want to do, and learn from their lessons, so that when you take the test, which is actually get into the game of real estate, game of life, whatever, game of marriage, whatever it is, that you already kind of have a clue what you're doing. And so that's kind of like, I realized when I got into real estate, I didn't know what I was doing, and I knew I didn't know what I was doing. And so it was like, I had the right attitude, I had the right work ethic, and I knew all I need is the right training. If I can get that, I had the absolute belief, if I did the right stuff, had the right attitude and work ethic and the right mentorship, I would win. And that's what I did. So I approached it that way from a business perspective, but still learning the lessons of life by taking the test.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm very blessed. I have two daughters that are having babies at this time. And one of the things that I learned from their mother and myself was that when we have babies, things are going to be different. People are going to want to give us lots of advice, right? But we knew that we had to figure it out ourselves. And I think we were lucky because we were really open-minded And we wanted to, there are the books out there. There are people that modeling. I mean, we went to the Lamaze classes and all this other stuff. And this was about life, but it also relates simply to business as well as, modeling and figuring it out. But you do need a little bit more help because there's no instinct when it comes to scripts. There's no instinct when it comes to how to run a business. There are instincts to life, because it's biology and it happens. And, why do you see all these deer running around all the times? Because they keep having babies and they keep producing, and because they know how to live, because they're living the way they live. But when it comes to business, it's different. So you have to I call it modeling rather than copying, and you need some other time. Is that a good way to look at it as far as business is concerned, Kevin?
For sure. I mean, it's why would you try to reinvent the wheel? It's like, and we go in, and I think our biggest issue that we come into any game with is we come in with some ego, and ego can be blinding. Now, ego is important. We all have ego. It's important to have, but to control it and say, okay, here's what I know. I don't know what I don't know. So
right.
What do I need to know to win in this game? And real estate, I look at it as the game of real estate is like, I'm in it to win it. I'm not in it to try hard. I'm not in it because I need a job. I'm in it because I got in this business as a means to an end to have a life, right? You get in business to have a life, not the other way around. We didn't get in life to have a business, right? So life is the means, a business is the means to the end. And so it's like, I want to learn the best way to do it, to win this game so that I can enjoy and live the life that I want to have. And I think this long game perspective is like, what do I need to do today is not as important as what do I want my life to look like in 10 years?
So,
and then reverse engineer.
Right, exactly. So I just, as most people know, I do a session for the Align team every Friday morning. It's called Planning and Prep. And I talk about, when I get new people on, I say, look, what's your schedule look like? What's your calendar look like? We can't manage time. I believe time management is bullshit. I say that once a Friday, and we can optimize it. And then if we can optimize it, we're able to monetize it as we move along. And one of the things I say is, what do you want to do? I mean, what does life look like for you in 10 years and 20 years? And then let's talk about 3 years, and let's talk about 1 year and where you want to do and how you want to grow your business. But let's understand this is a business, right? So, and then I use the same phrase, reverse engineer it. So, but a lot of agents get into this business. I'm going to make a lot of money, and they don't realize that it is like having a baby where you've got to figure it out and you've got to go along. And they don't realize as time goes on, when they start to think they're winning, things get difficult. And then it comes to what we refer to as mastery. So is there a mindset? Is there a message that we need to give newer agents to help them build that ideal of mastery?
For sure. It starts with a very simple premise. What does winning look like for me? And how do I win? And this is, as we were talking before we actually went live. I look at real estate as player versus player. Every time, if there's a great buyer out there, a great motivated seller, a great listing, you're not the only one that wants it.
Right.
You're competing. And it's just in a sense, it's just like any game, whether it's in sports or performing arts or anything. It's like, if you want to win, you win by mastery. You win by being better than somebody else and being able to, when you get hired, it's like, okay, now it's me and the seller's my client. What do I have to do? You've got to deliver the results. If I don't know how to deliver the result, you lose, right? If I don't know how to sell their house, get the most money for them and deliver a great result for them, then I lose. If I don't know how to find a seller, if I don't know how to have a conversation and lead them to a decision to say yes to me, then I lose. So what does it take to win? Well, it takes mastery of this entire process of how do I find motivated sellers? How do I attract them? How do I build confidence and credibility with them? And then how do I inspire them to hire me? And then once they hire me, how do I deliver the best results every time? And then how can I leverage that so I'm not a one-hit wonder. I'm not just winning one time. I'm winning over and over, and every success creates more success. So it's like the better it gets, the better it gets. But we want to go in and think that because we like people and we love houses and we're honest and good people, that therefore we should be able to make a lot of money. And it's not that way. I look at the first piece, and this is what I teach in terms of real estate is you need a whole business model. It's like if I was opening a hamburger restaurant, just because I have a great hamburger recipe doesn't mean I'm going to make money in a hamburger restaurant. I may have the best hamburger recipe on the planet, but if I don't know how to get customers, if I don't know how to operate a business, if I don't know how to cook it, it's like I'm not going to make money. McDonald's is not successful because they have the best hamburger. They're successful because they have the best model, and they mastered a model, and then they simplified it down to where that a kid with a high school education can pretty much run the whole store. I mean, literally, it's all high school educated kids mostly, and I mean, whatever age they are. It's like there's not high achievers. They made the model so simple that it could be implemented and operated. It's just learning a certain skill set that you have to repeat over and over and over again. But leading people to a decision, when you're talking about people that have a $500,000, $1 million, $2 million asset, their home, and then you're wanting them to entrust you with the sale of that, it's a big decision and it's a big responsibility. And so it takes a high level of mastery to get them to say yes and then to deliver the results. And this is where the commitment to mastery is. I have to master the game. It's not the new shiny object. It's not the next, chat GPT strategy that's going to make you successful. Because at some point, if I want to get a listing and I see this gorgeous house that is like, and I find out that the owner's interested in selling it, I've got to connect with that person. I've got to convert them into believing that I'm worth talking to. And then I've got to inspire them to hire me. I've got to lead them to a decision. And I look at I'll say the key skill. There's one key skill that is the money-making skill in real estate. It is your ability to lead somebody to a decision. Every part of the transaction, every part of the real estate game is lead them to a decision.
Okay. And here's going to be my question, the honest question, the obvious question. How do I start doing that? How do I get that skill? How do I build that discipline?
So everybody comes in with a certain level of communication skill. What we've not very rarely been taught is how do we lead a conversation in a way that makes the person say yes to you, yes to you, yes to you. And when I say, so this one, I called it the Book of Yes when I wrote, the Ultimate Real Estate Agent Conversation Guide, how to get yes without the BS. Because when I got into real estate, I hated all the scripts that were they were BS, right? There was bait and switch, bogus statistic. I mean, there's like, they'd say one thing and it's like, I'm just getting my foot in the door. I'm doing a survey of all the sell-by owners in the area. And I'm like,
yes, that's right.
Me, I'm not a
I
survey.
hate that line.
I hate that line. And so I'm not going to tell you who wrote it because it was a Mike Ferry script. Mike Ferry did not come up with that script. It was somebody on his team.
He didn't.
His original script was straightforward, honest. Whether you like Mike Ferry or not, he's the godfather of real estate coaching. And
no question. I have the Mike Ferry scripts, and that's the first FSBO script there is.
Yeah, but he changed it right after I got in 1998. By 2000, I think they changed the script to survey script. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard because it was BS. So anyway, back to our main point, is that I've got to be able to get somebody. First decision, will you talk to me? Second decision, will you meet with me? Third decision, will you hire me? Fourth decision, accepting the best offer. So my job is first being able to connect with people and lead them to a decision to talk to me. Whether I'm starting with an online lead generation platform, meta ads, organic, social media, knocking on doors, calling for sell-by owners, meeting somebody at an open house event, networking, personal referral, whatever it is, first thing it's got to do is I've got to have a conversation with them and get them to want to talk to me. Number two is I've got to lead them to the decision to say, yes, we will meet with you for a listing presentation or buyer consultation, whichever way it is. And then third, when you're in the listing presentation or buyer consultation, is to lead them to a decision to say, yes, you're my agent. Where do I sign? And they hire you. Now we list the house. We list the house, put it on the market. We get buyers in, we get offers. Okay, now what's my job? Negotiating a contract, negotiating an offer is the skill of leading all parties to a decision that is in the best interest of your client, right? To get my seller the property sold with the best terms and price, to get him the most money possible with the best terms, to protect my seller's interest. That is all about the skill of leading people to a decision. Objection handling is a skill of leading people to a decision. Negotiating, it's the skill of leading people to a decision. How do you do that in the best way possible? And that, if somebody can master that skill, so scripts are like, this is what you say, right? That is the strategy, the script, the words. The skill is how well you say it, how effectively you use it to lead somebody to a decision, even as something as simple as a CMA. Because once you get a motivated seller, what's the most important thing about getting a property to sell? You got to price it right. Location is set, not going to change, right? Market is what it is. But the price is got to be a price that gets the buyers excited when they see the house and they're like, "Oh, I like that house. Ooh, I like that price." And then what I teach is in what we call our vortex selling system is that the best way to get the most money for a house is if you get into a multiple offer situation. When you get people lining up to buy something, the demand goes up, price goes up. So to do that, you've got to get the seller to agree to the right price. Yeah, you just went wide. You just went fisheye.
I don't know what the hell happened there.
I don't know.
Fix this.
That's cool. Nice studio though.
It is. I just have to fix it. I think I put my hand on my remote control. Give me 1 second. And
That's all right. I can keep talking. So
no, keep going. I got it.
Got it. So with this, the idea of leading them to a decision, I've got to lead them to a decision to price it right. It's not just a decision to hire me, but it's also the decision on pricing. Right. And so if an agent goes like, "Well, I told them," and but they want to try their own price. Okay. So that's called not leading. Right.
Right. Exactly.
Telling it's like telling your kid, "Go clean your room," and they don't go clean your room. That's not leadership. Right. John Maxwell, kind of the leadership guru of our generation, has written some of the best books on leadership. One of his famous sayings is, "He who thinks he leadeth, but hath no one following him, is only taking a walk."
It's like, I love that. I mean, what you're saying here, there's two things that come to mind. And we talk about with my team and the training and mentoring and coaching that we do, we talk about meeting them where they're at. I like that, but I also like to meeting them where they're at can also mean meeting them at their level. And what does that mean? Quickly, it means, look, if you've got a toddler that's 4 years old and they don't want to listen to you, and you stand up and you're looking down at them and say, "Do this, don't do that, that's not good." That's one thing, a way to dictate. To meet them where they're at or to meet them on their own level is to literally get down to their level and start talking to them. Now, when we talk about a seller not accepting a price or not accepting, an offer, let's talk about their level. And it's all about the question we ask, not the knowledge that we have. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. And so how do we meet a seller at their level? Here's how you meet a seller at their level. Talk about what they're interested in, not what you're interested in.
Exactly.
Meaning, what is their motivation and what they want?
Motivation?
Everything. It's not about what I want. It's about what they want. I'm going to give you, here's a very simple frame that I learned in doing it. So my first listing presentation that I ever learned, the very beginning of the listing presentation, when you get at the house, you knock on the door, ring the doorbell, they open the door, say, "Hey, Dave, Kevin Ward here. Thank you so much for having me over. I'm so excited about listing your house and getting it sold." The very first thing out of my mouth is talking about what I want, not what they want. How many sellers ever woke up one day and said, "Hey, honey, let's list our house"? I mean, I just keep thinking about, I saw the Johnsons down the road listed their house and I'm jealous. I just want to list it. So let's find an agent that'll list our house. And it's like, that's like, I'm so excited about going to the dentist. Said no human being ever, right? It's like, they're not excited about listing. What are they excited about? So when I was taught that, I tried it and I would be like, "Okay, that's what I say." And it was just like, the energy was not great when I would say that. Because they're almost like, "Oh, listing it. I don't want to list it."
What's the phrase? You get the heebie-jeebies when you walk in, right?
So I just changed the script and I'm like, "Hey, thanks for having me over. Are you guys excited about getting to your new home back in Austin?"
There you go.
Now, what am I speaking of? I'm speaking about what they're excited about, what they want, what they're interested in. So the entire, the what I call my YesMasters listing presentation, which I developed, and the basis of it started with Mike Ferry's listing presentation. But I discovered there were so many resistance triggers in it, and there were just the leading people to a decision comes from this. If I got to, like you said, lead them from where they're at to where they want to go. So I'm not leading them to think I'm awesome. So it's crazy. Like the listing presentation, almost no conversation about what I'm going to do, almost nothing, because they don't care about what you're going to do. They care about what they want. So all the conversation about what they want and how the decisions that we got to make to help them get there, what they want. They want to sell the house. They want the most money. They want the best terms and price, and they want it with the best experience, the least hassle. So it's like, that's what we talk about. We focus on the outcome that they're looking for. So to do that, here's what has to happen. And then it's not about, hey, let me tell you why I'm awesome. That's the wrong way to go about a listing presentation. So, because you're not starting where they're at, you're starting where you're at, and they don't really care where you're at.
Right. So, all right. So they have a motivation. They have a reason that they're going to move. And no one ever is going to move because they want a higher interest rate on their next home. I mean, that's not going to happen. But there's a reason that people will move now with the difference in interest rates and stuff. And a lot of people are going to say, well, I want to move, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to lose a 2.5% interest rate, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of logic to put to that. And to that's about money, right? But there's also a lot of other reasons people are moving. Like, their motivation could be be closer to their grandchildren, or, it's this, it's that, or I really want to buy that house, but we're $5,000 apart. I'm not budgeting on this $5,000. Yeah. And I'm going to say, well, what's more important to you? The house that you love that you won't budge on, or a six-pack and a pizza every week? Because that's really what it comes down to, isn't it? Yeah. Is there anything wrong with that logic or that kind of approach to it? When I know we're talking about listing, but I'm talking about buyers and sellers, buyers as well.
Well, here's what matters is what they want. Do you want that? Right. It's like, do you want the house, or do you want to win the over, $5,000 difference? We're $5,000 apart on this, and like a year from now, if you don't get this house, and it's the best house you're going to find, a year from now, you're going to like, what were we thinking? Why did we miss? Why don't we get? Because that house that you're fighting over 5,000, a year from now is going to be worth 50,000 more probably. And it is, by the way. I think this is a different conversation, but people are.
I want to just approach that one different way through my own personal experiences. When I moved last year, it was more about quality of life that what I wanted to change. And I looked at payment, it was the same thing. But when we get to sellers though, I mean, the motivation has also everything to do with it as well as to where they're going, but getting them what they want is more important. So, all right. So we went through this whole thing, and the question I have for you is: everybody wants to lead we said we need to lead them to a decision, right? And we're going to do that by not talking about ourselves, but talking about them, asking them questions, etc. And but one of the biggest stumbling blocks, Kevin, to new agents that need more business when they start prospecting is the opener, is what do they say first, and not to get hung up on, because basically, Kevin, there's a fear of rejection. There's a fear of and there's call avoidance and all this other stuff. What can you help us with as far as A, getting over that fear, and B, understanding that whatever you say may work anyway? Talk to me about that.
Great question. So the first thing is what's happening in your head. You've heard this, the 6 inches of real estate between your ears is the most important. So here is, if there's one thing that makes an agent powerful, it is this, and one word: certainty. There is an energy of certainty. And that is when I'm absolutely certain that I'm the best agent to help you get the result that you want, when I'm the best decision you can make, that energy of certainty gives to them the ability to have certainty in you, to be confident. They've got to feel confidence in you to say yes to you. How do they get that confidence? More than anything else, they're going to get it from you. They're not going to get it from your stats, your track record, or any of that, as much as they're just going to get it from your certainty. So this is why a new agent has to be able to get this energy of certainty and confidence. And part of that is a reason that I emphasize the game of mastery. It's like becoming a master of like what to say and how to say it, being able to go in feeling like I know exactly what to say. I know exactly what to do. And the way you get that is you train. The one thing I did different than other agents when I started was I would practice scripts and role play every day, and 30 minutes a day, role play every day. And I was in the number one Century 21 office in the world, which back then Century 21 was the dominant powerhouse in the industry. And this was the number one Century 21 office in the world. 120 agents, 120-ish agents, which was back then huge. This was before mega offices, Keller Williams and all that. 120 agents was a mega office. And there were like 2 of us that would consistently come to role play out of 120 agents, top producing agents, but nobody would practice. So that's what part of what allowed me to become so successful so quickly was I out practiced everybody, kind of like Kobe Bryant's strategy of becoming a great basketball player. He said, I discovered if I out trained everybody, I got better faster than them. And then a couple of years later, not only am I getting better faster than them, they can't ever catch me because I out train them every single day. And I was like, agents don't train. They don't train on a listing presentation every day. Why not? You're auditioning for a $20,000 paycheck and you're not going to spend time practicing. If you couldn't make it on your junior high basketball team if you weren't willing to practice the skills of playing basketball every single day, and you wouldn't do your 11-year-old. You wouldn't let them play in a piano recital if they weren't willing to practice an hour a day. And you're wanting to go audition and talk to a homeowner of a $2 million house and ask them to hire you, and you aren't trained. You're not practicing what to say and how to say it to lead them to a decision. So the reason you have to do this is because as you do it, you get better at it, you get certainty, you get confidence. And so your mindset going in is not a fear of rejection. It's like, I'm the best decision they could ever make. I'm the best. And this is part of what I call your story, your mindset, your story. I'm the best decision you will ever make. And if I believe that, then my confidence changes everything. How do you get there? I can talk more about that if you want, but you've got to get to a level of confidence and certainty.
Yes, I do. I want to talk about so just put a bookmark there real quick. I want everybody to understand that, in life we do a lot of different things, and we get better at things through repetition. Okay, so we got better at walking as we got older. Right. We didn't walk first. We actually crawled, and none of us ever said, excuse my language, but fuck that. I'm not walking. This walking thing ain't going to work. No toddler, no baby ever said that ever. Right. It's just a progression, and they learn how to walk. We learn how to walk, and practicing. It was practice for them. It's like they fell down. When I taught myself how to ride a bike, and I knew that if I kept trying and kept falling, I would be able to ride that bike. Folks, everybody that's ever going to watch this one little segment of this broadcast right here, if you practice, you will get confidence in what you do. I remember riding a bike. I could go left. I couldn't go right. I don't know why. I just couldn't. But I knew the more I went right, the better I would get at it, right? I know I can talk about practice as much as possible. And you're not the only one talking about it. I'm not the only one talking about it. But people say, well, I don't like to make calls, or I'm not good at making calls. You're not good at making calls because you don't fucking practice. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. And I've gotten better at calls and helping agents make calls because I listen and I practice myself and I recite and I do all the things I tell everybody to do. I'm sorry. That's just a little something I had to get out and talk about that. So that all makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
So the next point of selling and everything else, go forward with that.
Okay. So this idea of how do I get confidence? How do I get certainty?
Right.
And how do I get over the fear of rejection? So I actually did a live stream earlier this week on how to overcome the fear, how I overcame the fear of rejection. So number one is just doing it. Action conquers fear. Action conquers fear. Do the thing that you're afraid of, do it enough, and the fear will go away. Okay. It's going to go away. 1, because you get used to it. 2, because you get better. Okay. So it's just like action conquers fear. So the first thing is like, how did I get over my fear of prospecting expires? Because I prospected expires while I was terrified. I was like, I want to win. So I'm not waiting until I feel comfortable doing it. I'm doing it because it's my commitment. I know this is the path. So one of the things that we've got to do is like, you've used the F-bomb, so I'm just, fuck your feelings. I don't care how I feel. What I care about is my commitment. I don't feel like working out most days. Like I don't feel like exercising, but guess what? I exercise every day. Why? Because I'm committed to being in elite physical condition. I feel better. I look better. I have more confidence. People respect me more. So I'm like, physically, I want to look great. Same with this. I don't feel like role playing. Doesn't matter. I role play anyway. I don't feel like prospecting. Doesn't matter. I role play anyway, or prospect anyway. So doing it is going to help you get over the fear. Number two, the better you get with your skills, more practice and role play, the better you get, the easier it gets. So your skills get better by practice and training. The third thing, and this is a big one. This will help any new agent. I call it the Edison approach. So Thomas Edison is famous for inventing the incandescent light bulb. And the story is that he tried over 10,000 different experiments before he actually nailed it. And so somebody asked him, don't you get tired of failing? You've had over 10,000 failures. Don't you ever get tired of failing? And he said, I have not failed. I've just figured out 10,000 ways that don't work. And the way I look at it was, he was not looking at it as a win or lose, pass or fail. He was looking at it as an experiment. So every time I make a phone call, every time I talk to somebody, it's just an experiment. That's it. Just an experiment. I can't fail. It's just an experiment. So if it doesn't work, it's just like, okay, so they're not my person. So I try the next person. It's just an experiment. So just quantifying in my mind, or qualifying it and changing the frame that I'm just experimenting. So when I was dating, before I met Rochelle, when I would ask girls out, I'd be nervous. I'm like, I don't want to get rejected. I don't want to say no. And then I just changed the frame. I'm like, number one, I am the best decision they could ever make. So my confidence, I have certainty. Number two, it's just an experiment. That's it. The worst, what's she going to do? Say no? Okay. That's the worst thing that happened. It was just an experiment. But she's never going to say yes if I don't ask. So I have to ask. So that's another thing that I did to overcome the fear of rejection. Here's another one, and this was huge. Quantify the value of every no. Quantify the value of every no. Now, I'll just give you real simple numbers. Let's just say I have to talk to 100 people to get one listing. I have to talk to 100 people to get one listing. That means I'm going to, for every 100 conversations, I get 99 no's and one yes. Let's just say my average listing is only $10,000. Okay, my commission check. So that means one listing is going to make me $10,000. So how much do I make per listing? $10,000. How much do I make per no? Well, take 99 and divide it by 10,000. And now you know how much you make every no you get. So if you divide 10,000 by 99, it's $101, 100 and something, whatever it is. $100 per no. What else could you do in life where you can make $100 per one conversation? It's not $100 per hour. It's $100 a no. And I'm like, are you willing every time? So I literally took back in 1999, when I first started selling a good number of homes, I figured this out. And back then it was $26 per no. That was my numbers. My average sales price was $121,000 back in 1999. So I calculated my numbers, $26 per no. So I took a $20 bill, made a photocopy of it, blew it up, and I stuck it on my wall. And it says every no equals, on a big Sharpie, every no equals, that was $20. So I would if they hang up on me, cha-ching, $20. I just had to go through enough no's to get to the yes to get paid for it. And it's like, could you handle the rejection of a no if you knew that every time I'm going to stand right here in front of your desk, and every time you talk to somebody that hangs up on you, I'm going to hand you a $100 bill. How long would you do that every day? If I handed you a $100 bill for every person that you talk to that hangs up on you or yells at you or tells you to bug off or calls you a name or threatens you or curses at you, but I'll give you $100 for taking it. Would you take it? $100. And if you stood there, you do it all day, right? It's like, come on. If that's what you do. It's literally what you do it.
It's look, I mean, it's as you said, as you move along, it's this feeling of mastery. You get better at it the more you do. There's also one thing I want to add to what you just said is you can continually get that $20 or $100 per no. And it's also going to be worth more money as you move along because of Dave's theory of momentum, where if you keep going, it's just going to get easier to make that money. It's going to be easier to build your business. Now, the quantity will create difficulty, but let's get to that quantity first so that you're doing 2, 3, 4, 5 deals a month and then maybe a couple of deals a week, right? Everybody, by the way, deserves a weekly paycheck, just like they started when they were working, pumping gas. Well, in New Jersey, we pump gas. We don't pump it anywhere else. But when when you worked, whatever that hourly wage was, 9 to 5 that you did, right? Everybody deserves that. But anyway, so Kevin, we've got the Book of Yes, the first book you wrote, and you've got another one coming up. Talk to me about what's coming up. I guess you could call it a sequel, and it has nothing with
it's
selling.
It's a sequel. So this is the Book of Yes. This is basically a book on how to have these conversations, how to lead people, how to lead people to a decision, how to get a yes. And it has the scripts in it, all that kind of stuff. Of course, our scripts, since this was published, have expanded dramatically. So we give as a bonus, we give them the entire Book of Yes scripts, Vortex edition. So the new book, though, is called More Yes, More Success. Now, this is a mock-up of it because I'm still finishing the last 2 chapters on it right now. But it's coming out. Our goal is to have it published before Thanksgiving, to have it out and ready to go. It's called More Yes, More Success, How to Make Every Seller Want You. So this is the game of leading people to a decision. But here's how this book is different. It's like a couple years ago, I started playing golf. And here's what I discovered about golf. And I played when I was a kid or when I was young, college and stuff, but I hadn't played in years. And it's like golf, you have this bag full of golf clubs. And if you want to win golf tournaments, if you want to win in golf, you have to master multiple different skills and multiple parts of the game. You can't just be great with the driver off the fairway, off the tee box. And if you may be a great driver, but you can't putt, you're going to lose. If you can't use fairway irons, you're going to lose. If you can't use your sand wedge, if you can't get out of trouble, if you whatever it is, there's the entire game. So it is like all the different clubs in the bag, and conditioning and mindset and all that. You got to master all elements of the game in order to win the game. I care about winning the game. I don't just care about being good at one thing. So if I'm just great at prospecting, like I was great at prospecting for sell-by owners and expireds, but if I get the listings and then I can't sell them and 30% of them expire, then I'm doing 30% of the work I'm doing is not only wasting my time, it's also hurting my client because I'm not delivering the result for them. And it's hurting my reputation because I'm failing a third of the time. No airline pilot would stay in business if they crash 30% of the time, right? It's like, you got to master this whole game. So the book More Yes, More Success is about mastering the entire game of real estate. So it's what I call the real estate vortex, which is the business model that I created out of my own experience for myself. And then as I started coaching, and that was like, if I can teach them how to set appointments, that's great. But if they don't know how to go get the listing, and then if they don't know how to sell the listing, if they don't know how to leverage that to get more business, and they're having to start over at zero every day, it's like you're just going to grind yourself to the bone. You're going to wear out and burn out. So it's like, how do I build a business out of this? And this is what I did is I want to build an entire business model. So this is literally trains them, what do they call it? Soup to nuts or something. I don't know what the phrase is, but like from A to Z, how to build a successful high 6-figure or 7-figure real estate business in 24 to 36 months, doing it based on what I did for myself as a real estate agent and what I've trained hundreds of agents that have now created high 6-figure and 7-figure businesses. Many of them are financially free because they built a business, but they also built a life. So that's the other piece of this. Like, I don't want to just win in the business. I also want to win in my life. Because, you know my story when I first started real estate. This is not something I enjoy telling, but I think it's important for people to know, agents to know, and agents to hear. When I first started real estate, I was pretty successful pretty fast because I worked hard and I trained and I did the work and I leaned into my fear and I faced my fears and did the work. But I also was having problems at home. My marriage was not great. Now, when your marriage is not great, beauty of real estate is a great excuse to not go home. It's a great excuse to work 12 hours a day, 15 hours a day. And so instead of dealing with my marriage, I just avoided it. And then I met a woman that was young and hot. She was another agent in our office, and we started having an affair. And I was producing like crazy because I was working my butt off because I didn't want to go home. And so I'd work and be very, make money. And that very year, I sold over 100 homes. My third year in real estate, sold 108 transactions. And I was voted Realtor of the Year for the #1 Century 21 office in the world while I was having an affair. And early the next year, that all blew up. and my marriage failed, and my life burned to the ground, everything. And it's like, that's called losing, not winning. I was very successful and I looked successful. I was making a lot of money, but I was managing to stay broke, which is another conversation because I was spending all the money I was making. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't being accountable, wasn't being a good steward. But also now you got the expense of I'm paying child support, I'm paying spousal maintenance, I'm having to support 2 households basically, and I'm mentally and emotionally in the pit. I'm dealing with guilt and shame and depression, and like I can't be productive. I can't work. So my business just like debt, everything was just like all of a sudden I'm buried. So it's like it's not just about winning the game of real estate. To me, it's life. It's all life. Business, your life, your business is a part of your life. It's not work-life balance. It's all life. Business is a part of your life. It's the big part of your life, and it's got to integrate, and your marriage has to work, and your health has to work, and your emotional well-being has to work. Your faith has to work. Your finances has to work. Your business has to work. Everything has to work. Because if it doesn't, if one area of your life isn't working right, that one area can cause your entire life to collapse. And that was what happened to me. So as I teach and as I train, one of the things I've always trained is how to win in business and win in life. So the book, More Yes, More Success, is not just, even though it's the main part of it, it's how to build a successful business, but how to do it while also building the life that you want in terms, including the long game. Like what do you want your life to look like in 10 years? And one thing is almost every agent is going to say they want to be financially free. Okay, good. You're not going to do that this week. So if I'm not going to do it this week, what do I need to do this week and this month and this year that 10 years from now, I'm financially free? And that's a set of decisions, playing the long game and reverse engineering it back. And I think you mentioned this earlier, like, here's where I want to be in 10 years. So what do I need to do this year to get me on a trajectory for that? What do I need to do this month to get me on a trajectory for that year? What do I need to do this week to make me win the month? What do I need to do today to win the week? So I literally have a frame that I learned from one of my mentors. That's like we have a daily hot list and a daily hit list. We have a weekly war, a monthly mission, a quarterly conquest, an impossible game, which is the yearly thing, and a master plan for my life. And it's just like the building blocks so that down the road, I want to have this. Well, what do I have to do today to get there? Because it's not just going to happen by accident. Championships are not won by accident. They're planned events.
Right. It does not happen by accident, and it does take time. And I want to tell everybody out there that, I think we live in a world of impatience, right? We want it to happen now. No matter where we are, this is what we want. We want it now. A lot of agents want now business. Yeah, I get that. You can get now business very simply, but I want you to understand that every day turns into a week, turns into a month, turns into a quarter, turns into a year. And why is that important for me to say that? Because I know that if I am just patient enough, what I want and what I work towards is going to happen. I also know that what I wish for will come true. So I tell a lot of people, be careful what you wish for, because it's going to happen, right? The more you think about it, the more you do it, because your actions are going to lead to what you want to do. So when people talk about, and I want to get back to something, if we can talk about practice, so we can talk about getting in the door. There's a lot of agents that, okay, I know I got to make these calls, or I know I got to lead generate. And they go to a point where, okay, I made the calls, I got the appointment, I can't get the listing. All right, so now we got to go to the next step. It's practicing something else. It's why are you not getting that, right? So that all comes into play with everything you're doing. You just talked about a life plan, not a business plan, because let's face it, if everything's not working, it is all about the mastery of life, man. And you just gave a plan really quickly and just laid it out there. And that's what your book does. Am I correct, Vortex? The next book, More Yes?
That's not all it does. I mean, it is the business system. So I would say 90% of it is like, here's how you build a successful, profitable business fast. That starts with everything from lead generation, lead conversion, lead follow-up, listings, buyers, working with buyers, delivering the best results. We call the selling vortex, the vortex selling system, how to build repeat and referral business, how to build your personal circle, how to do all of it. And interestingly, the last chapter that I just added back in from what I used to teach and kind of gotten away from it is the financial freedom vortex. So there's the real estate vortex, and then there's the financial freedom vortex, which is like, now I'm selling houses to make money. how do I then turn that into a cash flow? So creating multiple income streams, whether it's owning real estate investment or it's like EXP with revenue share, because this is like, I'm super excited about what EXP is doing. Like I'm seeing agents that are making tons of money from investing into growing a business and growing revenue share. And it's like, that's passive. And what got me excited was one of my longtime coaching members. He sent me his literally screenshots of like, here's my income from cash flow, from revenue share. And here's my financial freedom date that I wrote down at your event when you made us put down a financial freedom date. Here it is. And look what it is. This is when I got this check. It was over $10,000 in 1 month, passive cash flow from his revenue share. And he had got it on the month that he had wrote down for his financial freedom date. And he said, with all my business expenses aside, that check right there pays my monthly bills. He says, I am today financially free.
This is real important, right? And it's not important because you mentioned a company. It's not important because you talk about money. It's important because it allowed someone, whatever they did, allowed someone when they wrote it down, when they were going to do it. And that's what you do. That's what you've done with your books. That's what you've done with your training and your coaching. And it has come, everything you've done, man, it's all been the mastery of life. And Kevin, I know it didn't happen overnight with you, and there's other things that you're working on as well. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah. So 3 years ago, this is what I've taught for years: is winning in your whole life, and I call
winning in your whole life, which is really important. And just so everybody knows, is I have set a financial freedom day. We talked about that before we came on the air. I said it is August 8th, 2028. That's my financial freedom day, guys. So I'm going along with that, and I'm just putting that out there, but go ahead, Kevin.
So 3 years ago, and this is with me teaching all the 7 domains. You got to win in your business and in your life. You got to take care of all areas of your life: your fitness, your feelings, your finances, your family, everything. And my marriage failed. And there's basically some major mistakes that I'd made in my marriage and it was my 3rd divorce. And I'm a guy, I was a preacher before I started real estate. So I believe in marriage. I don't believe in divorce. And it's like, how is this happening to me? And I finally was like, I'm losing again. And I felt like my credibility was on the line. And so I went into a 1.5 years of very deep personal mentorship and development to say, if I'm failing in 3 marriages, it's me. It's got to be me. There's something I don't understand about leading. I know how to lead in business. I know how to build a 7-figure business, multi-million-dollar business, but I don't know how to lead in my own family. And it's like, nobody taught me this. It's kind of like you take the test and then you learn the lesson. And I was like, okay, I've taken 3 tests, 3 marriages, and they all failed. So I've got to learn something different. And so in that process, I figured out and learned a path of like how to be a man and lead in a relationship as a man, as a husband, and just how to do that. Nobody ever really teaches us how to do that. And we don't study it and we don't master it. So through all of that, I felt a calling from God to start working with men who are in the divorce pit. And so I started a program called Divorce to Victory for high achieving men who have found themselves, winning in business and failing in their marriage, and helping them get through the divorce pit, and then helping them become the man and learn about how to win in their life and how to win in relationships, how to recover, how to rebuild, so that it doesn't ever happen again. And that's been a huge piece for me. It's been a huge passion project for me because I just want to help people win. I want to help people have great lives. And if you're like I say, if you're winning in business, I had a guy that he makes 8 figures a year, and he's like insanely successful. But guess what's happening? His marriage died. And it's like, who do you turn to? What do you do? You're used to winning. You're not used to losing. And here you're like, I feel helpless, and he's depressed, and he's like, I can't get motivated. And, and it's like, I don't know how I'm going to let her go and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, here's the process. So I become a master of that process just by my own experience. And so I coach real estate agents, and that's been my passion path for a long time. And now I still do that and love that. That's why I'm finishing this new book. Got an event coming up next week. But I'm also doing this working with men in the divorce pit and helping them get through the divorce pit and win again. So I don't care about recovery. You got to recover, but it's like, what I care about is winning championships. An athlete, when they get injured, when they fail and they get an injury, their goal is not to recover from the injury. Their goal is to get back in the game and start winning again. Recovery is just one step on the path. And it's the same thing. It's like if I get rejected on a phone call as a real estate agent, how long do I have to recover from a rejection like that? Oh, that hurt. Okay, next. And you got to get back in the game so you're winning again, right? If a deal falls through, how long can I afford to be depressed over it? 60 seconds and then get over it and go back and get the next deal, right? It's about getting back in the game and winning.
That's just another thing you and I have in common with the divorce thing. So, I mean, it's intriguing. And a lot of people who might want some support in relationships and stuff, I mean, reach out to Kevin. Hey, Kevin, you know, it's we could go on forever with a lot of things that we're talking about. And I don't know, it's like there's no great place to stop. But, you know, if there was something that you could say to someone to inspire them to use the process that you've been teaching, what would that be? What would you say to that new agent, that struggling agent, or even that agent that wants to get to the next level?
Commit to win. Like, I'm going to win. I'm not trying that. I'm not going to give it a try. I'm not giving it a shot. I'm winning. I am going to win. Here's what that looks like for me. I'm going to be making $500,000 a year in 2 years, period. This is happening for me. I am making $500,000. I take a listing every day. I set a listing appointment every day. I take 3 listings every week. I do this, and you can make the commitment, and then you visualize yourself actually doing that every day. Do this with daily declarations, with visualization. You begin with the end in mind, and it's like Napoleon Hill wrote in the book Think and Grow Rich. It's like you have to have a burning desire for something, and then you have to have a purpose and make a commitment to do it, and then you create it. You write it out. This is what I'm going to do, just like your financial freedom date. It is now, so for me, my financial freedom date is February 20th, 2030. So it is now February 20th, 2030, and I have X amount of dollars coming into me every month in passive cash flow. We are living on our beautiful Hero Mountain Ranch. We are doing this, and I'm visualizing every day, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. I'm visualizing what is going to happen in my life. Do I know everything about how I'm going to get there? It doesn't matter. It's that I know what is going to happen. And I've used this in my life you can call it manifestation, the law of manifestation, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. You can call it, law of faith. According to your faith, will it be done to you? According to what you believe and expect, that's what's going to happen to you. The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. You become what you think about most of the time. So if you think about being massively successful and you visualize that already happening, and then all you got to do is follow the path that it opens up in front of you toward making it happen. It will happen. Nothing will be impossible for you. It is inevitable. But if you have doubt and you let doubt and fear and anxiety and worry consume your brain, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get the very thing that you are worried and anxious about. But if you consume your mind with winning, this is what's going to happen to me. And like Muhammad Ali, I am the greatest. I am the greatest. And he said, I used to say that before I even knew that I was. But his belief was so certain when he had already won the fight before at the very beginning of training. He was going to win, and he visualized it, and he wouldn't accept any other idea. And it didn't matter what you said. It doesn't matter what anybody else said. I don't care what you say. I'm going to win. This is going to happen. I'm going to get a listing this week. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to get a listing this week. I take 3 listings a week. I take whatever it is, visualizing it as already having happened, and then just lean into the process of it will happen. Believe it's going to happen. Somebody calls it the law of assumption. Just assume it's going to happen. Doesn't mean I can sit on my butt and do nothing. I've got to follow the path, but I've got to follow that path with absolute certainty. I don't care what my circumstances say right now. It doesn't matter if I look at my bank account and it's not what I want it to be, but I have certainty it's going to be where I want it to be. And it's already there in my mind. I just have to wait to see it manifested by moving into the action required to make that happen. But belief, certainty is absolutely mandatory for that to happen.
It's honestly, it's the number one thing that was truth be told, I just got back from a convention, the EXP convention, and the number one message that I heard from day one to the last night was action. Show up, take bold action. And once you take the action, it's all encompassing. We talked about practice today. We talked about a lot of things. Hey, do what you got to do to get to that final goal. And a final goal, you'll notice, is not the final goal. It's just the next one, right? It's just the next goal. And to do that, you need to take bold action. There are people out there that, all of a sudden they lose their job and they don't know what they're doing. They get into real estate and they say, shit, this is what I'm going to do. And this is how I'm going to do it. They just do it. People say, well, how did you do that? Hey, quit asking and just do it. Anyway, I can go on and on and on, but that was the message that I got personally this week is I just need to take action, take bold action. You never know what's going to happen. There's a lot of people out there that need it. Anyway, last but not least, Kevin, I want to thank you so much for being on the broadcast today. It has been really fun. I hope it was good for you. Then I have one question and one other thing. The question is, how do I help you grow your business?
Well, how do you personally help me grow my business? Right now is how can I help other people grow their business? So the new book's coming out. They can go to moreyesbook.com, moreyesbook.com, and they can pre-order a copy of it. When you pre-order a copy, you're going to get an autographed copy from me once it comes out later toward the end of the year. But in the meantime, you're going to get about $500 worth of bonus training, including all the Book of Yes scripts. You're going to get my listing presentation mastery course, which is on how do I actually master the listing presentation, all that. So a whole bunch of stuff. They can go to get moreyesbook.com. And this is how we can help other people. And I'm just doing this as it actually costs me money for every book I pre-sell. I'm only doing it for $17, which includes shipping and handling and the book, plus all the other bonuses. So I actually lose money on every book purchase. But there's some other things that they can get in addition to that if they want to. The audio book, I discount event ticket to my next event and all that kind of stuff. moreyesbook.com. You mentioned the divorce thing. There's guys if you happen to have any guys, a lot of real estate guys get divorces. They can go to my divorcetovictory.com. divorcetovictory.com. It's a free masterclass, and they can actually schedule a one-on-one call with me if they're in the divorce pit. That is for men only. I only work with men in that piece because women are it's a very different game. And I haven't mastered the women's side. I'm not a woman. So that's for men only. But,
I'm just putting that out. I'm putting that out so people can see it. And please forgive me for not having it out there now. But there it is there. It's on the screen. moreyesbook.com, divorcetovictory.com. Two great places you need to go for that support and the love of Kevin Ward, who is just a wonderful human being. And I'm so lucky and so fortunate to have had you on the broadcast today. And we didn't talk about this before, but Kevin, but as last time you got a hat, you get another hat this time.
Thank you. I've got it somewhere. I should have thought to bring it.
It's all right. It might be white. It might be, I'm not sure what color it is, but I think it was blue.
RE on it.
Red and white on it, but we've got the blue one coming to you. Everybody, next week we have, who do we have coming on next week, Nelson? We've got Renee Rodriguez coming on. That is going to be something. He's a best-selling author, Amplify Your Influence. It's going to be an interesting call. It's going to be wonderful, a lot of fun, keynote speaker, etc. But Renee's going to be here next week. I can't wait. It'll be Halloween next week. And I promise you, no tricks, just treats. Kevin, thanks so much for being on today. And just stay on for a minute as we go off. Everybody, God bless you all. Have a nice weekend.